What's going on, Colts Nation? I appreciate you stopping by for another video. Today, we're going to do a little bit of draft talk with one of the stories that came out from different GMs doing their interviews at the Combine. And the Arizona Cardinals GM said something that was very interesting, something that we've mentioned before, but I didn't think would be realistic with the position that the Cardinals are in. And what we're talking about here is that a story from The Athletic that I saw, Bleacher Report posted it, I ended up seeing it, was that Arizona is, quote, open to trading the number 4 overall pick in the draft in 2024. And that's massive news, right? There are teams that can move up and try to get a game-changing type player at the number 4 position, especially because those top 3, it seems like a quarterback is going to go in the top 3 no matter how you slice it up. So being at number 4 in the NFL draft, that's really where the draft starts this year. And at the moment, presumably it would be Marvin Harrison Jr. is the first non-quarterback drafted. I feel like that's a consensus among everybody. Of course, team need goes into that, but who doesn't need wide receivers this day and age in the NFL? So the Cardinals and the position that the Cardinals are in, they need receivers in the worst way. So it would make sense that they stay at 4 and go ahead and draft Marvin Harrison Jr. Now, in the last mock draft that I did, I had the Cardinals drafting Marvin Harrison Jr. at number 4, and then later in the first round at pick 27, I have them staying in position there as well and drafting Brian Thomas Jr. And I kind of love that that's the case here because this is kind of what I was thinking, right? Brian Thomas Jr., everything that has happened with the Combine, like Brian Thomas Jr. shooting up, he's been one of the stories of the Combine, one of the biggest winners of the NFL Combine this season. And we've talked about before whether or not he would be worth a first-round pick at number 15 overall. And there were some people that were with it, some people that were against it and thought 15 would be too high. I eventually, again, had him going 27 to the Cardinals in my latest mock draft. So with everything that's happened, everything Chris Ballard said about wanting to be more explosive on offense, we've talked about getting Brian Thomas in the building in the way that, like, Brian Thomas and Alec Pierce are almost the same player coming out of college, but Brian Thomas is just better. And when you talk about his athletic profile, Brian Thomas's athletic profile, that would fit the Colts very well. And what Chris Ballard likes to do, what this offense is going to try to do, Shane Steichen would be able to use Brian Thomas in a lot of different ways. So I think it's an interesting prospect. We've talked a lot about the Colts drafting a cornerback. That's been a lot of the talk. In my first mock draft, it was actually Keon Coleman that I had the Colts drafting. Keon Coleman, one of the biggest losers of the NFL Combine. So right there, I don't think I want the Colts to draft Keon Coleman there in the first round. But when we were looking at it, my second mock draft, I had Quinyon Mitchell being drafted by the Colts. And we've talked about Nate Wiggins being drafted by the Colts. And I think that's a possibility as well. But Brian Thomas Jr. came out and balled out. And that's where this conversation goes, okay, is do we trade up to the number 4 overall pick? If the Cardinals are serious about wanting to get out of the number 4 overall pick, they're obviously going to want a lot in return, right? They're going to want to be able to solidify their own future and be able to help themselves out in a major way if they're going to give up Marvin Harrison Jr. like that. And how much do we want Marvin Harrison Jr.? How much are the script writers going to take it into their hands and say, nope, Marvin Harrison Jr. got to be on the Colts? Okay, the price on that would be so steep. And I can't find specific examples of number 4 overall picks being traded. So I went out and looked at a couple of first-round picks that have been traded in recent memory, and kind of gauging off of that is where I'm trying to figure out what the value is going to be for the number 4 overall pick, right? You look at 2016, Tennessee Titans had the number 1 overall pick. They traded it to Los Angeles Rams that year. And in that trade, the Titans, who traded the number 1 overall pick, they got a first-round pick in 2016, a second-round pick, another second-round pick, a third-round pick, and then a 2017 first-round pick, and a 2017 third-round pick. So a lot of draft picks right there. 6 draft picks, all in the top 3 rounds. Okay, the Rams gave up so much for that, to go up, get Jared Goff, get the quarterback they wanted. And in that instance, Los Angeles Rams were at pick number 15. So it'd be a similar type move, maybe not as steep a price, because it's not the first overall pick, but those top 5 picks are extremely valuable. Okay, then you look at the most recent one, obviously last year, the number 1 overall pick being traded from the Bears to the Panthers. And in this one, the Panthers only received the number 1 overall pick, where the Bears got DJ Moore, who's one of the better receivers in the NFL, and got a 2023 first round pick, which was number 9 overall, another top 10 pick. They swapped top 10s. Okay, then got a 2023 second round pick as well, along with the 2024 first round and a 2025 second round pick. So the Panthers are going to be paying for the draft pick of Bryce Young for a couple of years, right? 2023, 2024, and 2025. Okay, and it's not a whole lot of draft picks, but DJ Moore was also thrown in a top tier wide receiver. So that makes a difference. So what would the Colts have to do to trade up to that number 4 overall pick? That really decides this whole conversation. You got to know, right? We're going to swap first round picks this year, 4 and 15. And then right now, the Colts only hold the draft picks that they're given. From the first round to the 7th round, they only have 1 pick in each round. So right now, the Colts would give them the first round pick. They'd probably give them the second round pick. I'd like to say we could hold on to a 3rd round pick, but probably giving up a 3rd round pick and then going into next year and probably giving up a 1st round pick next year, along with probably another pick somewhere. Maybe you throw in a player, whatever the case may be. You're looking at multiple firsts, possible multiple seconds, at least 1/3, right? It's going to cost a lot to get into the top 5. So the question is, do we do that? Do we sell out, go get Marvin Harrison Jr., right? Find a way to re-sign Michael Pittman Jr. And then just like that, we have the combination of Michael Pittman, Marvin Harrison, and Josh Downs as the top 3, along with Anthony Richardson and Jonathan Taylor. Those 5 on the field together are going to put the fear of God into people, okay, especially in Shane Steichen's offense, with Shane Steichen calling the plays. Like, that's a dangerous offense. So is it worth doing that? Do we sell out for the future while also giving up so many assets for the immediate and trying to get better right now and trying to secure, superstars for the future, some core stars for the future with Anthony Richardson? Is it worth that, or do we stay at 15, mess around and draft Brian Thomas, who looks like he's also going to be a stud? I have not moved off that. If you watched our video about Brian Thomas earlier in the offseason, then you know that I think Brian Thomas is one of the sneaky stars in the draft. It's not so sneaky anymore, which is what we talked about. If he pops off at the combine, he's going to shoot up draft boards. That's exactly what's happening. And Brian Thomas is a guy I'd be fine with taking at 15. So for me, as much as I want Marvin Harrison Jr. on the Colts, and I think that would be incredible, I just don't think it's worth trading that for. I don't think we should give up so much to go up and get him. It also it's a gamble staying at 15, and there are so many teams. Like, it's the NFL in 2024. Like, teams need receivers. What if somebody else decides to draft Brian Thomas, right? Well, like the Jets. What if the Jets at number 10 decide to draft Brian Thomas, right? With the run on receivers that could happen, it's possible. So, it's a dangerous game to play. Titans want to trade out of number 9 potentially, but they probably won't trade with us. Commanders looking like they might want to trade the number 2 overall pick, which is what we talked about. In my last mock draft, I had them trading with the Falcons and them swapping, and the Falcons drafting a quarterback. So we'll see what happens with everything, but this was just a conversation about the number 4 overall pick. Do you think we should trade to the Falcons? If we did, what would you be comfortable giving up? You let me know down in the comment section. Should we stay at 15 and draft Brian Thomas Jr.? You also let me know that in the comment section. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and have those notifications turned on. We're going to have daily content throughout the off season, so make sure you're not missing out on any of it. But with that said, as always, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and go Colts.